Hello, and welcome to the Big Idea Center's informational session for the 2025 Big Idea Competition. My name is Jessica Melandro, and I am the Assistant Director here at the Big Idea Center, Pitt's hub for student innovation and entrepreneurship. We're located at 3601 Forbes Avenue in Oakland. Today, we are going to go over details related to this year's competition, including important dates and application requirements, as well as basic logistics related to team scoring and prizes. Before we get into the core content of today's presentation, I do want to make sure to introduce you to the Big Idea Center team. Again, I am Jess Melandro. I take care of the organization and implementation of our programs, such as the Big Idea competition, as well as am responsible for operations related to our physical center space and more. I am joined by Ryan Skelton, Rankin Tran, and our director, Rhonda Schultz. Throughout the competition, you will typically be hearing from our student programs coordinator, Rankin Tran, or myself about competition details, scheduling, and resources. While those are the two names you might see the most, please make sure to keep a lookout for emails from any of the individuals that you see on the screen here. If you have any questions about what exactly it is that each of us do, you can visit our website. Or if you have any confusion about who to go to for what, just send me an email and I can get you routed to the right person. We are also joined by three entrepreneurs in residence who I will talk about later on in this presentation. So, what is the Big Idea Competition? This competition has been around since 2009 and is one of the reasons that the Big Idea Center exists. As you can see, we share a name. Since 2009, the competition has grown to be one of the largest student innovation competitions in the region, certainly the largest offering of its kind here at Pitt. But it is also unique in that it is at its core an experience-based learning opportunity for all those who choose to participate. What does this mean? Well, we provide teams access to entrepreneurs in residence and learning resources to help you grow through each stage. You will receive feedback at each stage meant to help you develop further prior to presenting potentially for the $25,000 top prize. All of this is built with the express goal of giving you more to walk away with than just money. This is your opportunity to develop as an individual, as a team, and as an idea. I should say now as well that this competition is geared heavily towards teams who come with existing ideas that they have been working on prior to the time of application. That could be a few weeks or a longer term project, but we do want to make sure that your team has a solid idea of what they would like to work on throughout this experience. Also, a unique aspect to this competition is that it is open to all Pitt students of all levels and all disciplines. You don't have to be from a particular school to participate. We have had students in the past from medicine, engineering, arts and sciences, business, and more compete in years past. Undergrads will be competing with graduates, PhD, and postdoc students, but do not let that intimidate you. We've also had students from all levels go on to win the whole thing. At the end of the day, this competition is about more than just money. $25,000 is insignificant in the grand scheme of things. This competition is about you and your ideas and how we can help you achieve your goals long after your time at the University of Pittsburgh is over. With that said, we want to provide you with a little information on how this year's competition will be administered. There will be virtual components for some portions of this program, so our semifinal round and our informational sessions, we will be utilizing Zoom for those programs, but we are also going to invite you into our physical space in person, along with other campus resources that we have available to us so that you can interact, pitch, and talk with the judges as we bring back the live pitching element for our final round. Now, the final point on this slide is one that I will continue to emphasize throughout the remainder of this session. Our primary method of communicating with students throughout the entirety of this competition is through email. It is important if you are going to choose to participate that you are consistently checking your email for messages from Rankin, Ryan, Rhonda, or myself for Zoom meeting links, in-person location updates, competition logistics, and more. It's also important that you read each email that you are sent thoroughly. This is my warning to you all now. Success in this competition hinges on the details, and those details will be in writing, which will be sent to all participating members of your team. So please, please, please read your emails. And I will also say now we have had problems in this past where emails have been sent to either junk or spam folders. If you have applied for this competition, and you are not receiving emails from us, please send us an email ASAP so we can get that rectified right away. To talk a little bit about Teams. We need to get a bit of housekeeping out of the way now. What you see on your screen are the requirements for all teams that wish to participate in the Big Idea competition. These requirements are the same for most of our competitions. If you've competed in the Big Idea competition or the Kuznetsky Innovation Cup in the past, you are familiar with these points. So all team members need to be registered with our team. We have an application portal available that everyone will need to fill out individually. Please read the application carefully and fill it out accordingly. Your application is not considered complete until all participating team members fill it out. We are going to be more strict on this point this year, so read the application carefully and make sure to complete it to the best of your ability. This competition is a program built for Pitt students. We are the University of Pittsburgh, after all. While we recognize that there is a rich culture of student innovation and entrepreneurship throughout the city of Pittsburgh, and we love to see that, this particular competition is geared toward teams that are led by University of Pittsburgh students. That does not mean that students or other affiliated individuals cannot participate. They can certainly assist your team and act as active members of your team, but if they are not current Pitt students, they are not eligible to present on behalf of your team or win a portion of any of the potential prizes should you win anything. If you have any questions about your team or eligibility, please send a member of the Big Idea Center team an email. We would be happy to clear up any points that you see on the screen before you right now. Lastly, you must have at least 2 current Pitt students on your team actively participating. That is currently enrolled Pitt students. It is important that you start building out your team now. If you do not fit this requirement or any of the requirements listed here, you will not make it past the initial application phase of this year's competition. We have a team finder tool on our website that can be helpful for matching individuals to teams, and we boost those postings on our social media and blog. I'll talk a little bit about that link and how to get there later on in this presentation. But again, if you have any questions about these requirements, just feel free to reach out to someone at the Big Idea Center. Our contact information is readily available on our website. To talk a little bit about this year's awards, what you see before you is the breakdown of the prize levels that you might be able to win. I will leave it up for a moment so that you can read. Again, any potential prizes will be split equally among the current Pitt students on your team. So to elaborate further, this slide contains some of the most important information for this competition. If you take away one thing from this info session, please let this be it. All of this information is useful, but this is what you'll need to know should you win any of the cash prizes that were just on the previous screen. The money awarded as part of this competition is considered a cash prize to the student innovators on your team. This is not a formal investment in your idea. Therefore, it cannot be awarded to a legal entity or a lab. Again, student competition, student prizes, they're for the student innovators on your team, students, students, students. All awards will be split evenly among the current Pitt students on your team and cannot be awarded to any other individuals or students that do not fit that particular description. We do not make any exceptions to these rules, so we wanted to make this clear right away. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. One other stipulation to the prizes to note is this: first and second prize winning teams are required to participate in the Summer Blast Furnace program. This is a virtual program held throughout the summer months and is intended to be a next step to your participation in the Big Idea competition. It is open to all teams by application, but our first and second place teams will need to attend in order to receive the second half of their winnings. The first half will be given to teams upon completion of the competition, the second half upon completion of the Blast Furnace program. We have worked very hard to make this program accessible for those working or staying off campus in between spring and fall. This is your opportunity to continue your work on your idea in a more in-depth way. More information on Blast Furnace will be emailed out to teams at a later date. Important competition links. You'll want to visit these locations for more information on the competition as well as the Big Idea Center. If you remember earlier, I talked about Team Finder. That link is on your screen here now. So you can just go to our website, bigidea.pitt.edu, and all of these are easy to find on our website. I'm going to put these links also in the description of this video. Remember to write them down or save them for reference, especially as we get closer to the application deadline, which is February 2nd. That will be a hard deadline, and we do not anticipate any extensions or exceptions to be made. Save this date, February 2nd, 2025, application deadline for the 2025 Big Idea competition. So let's go over some competition dates. These dates are in this info session, but also listed on our competition website and application page. You do not have any excuse to not know these days and make yourself available for them. A current Pitt student, that is one of those eligible students I talked about early on in this presentation, must be present at each of the listed dates for this competition. That's why we're telling you these dates early, so make sure to save them. The lineup for this year's competition looks a bit different than some previous years. We will have 3 separate phases of the competition, which will involve 2 cuts for teams. Put these on your calendar, especially if you plan on making it to the final round in April. These are dates you'll need to be available for. I talked about those requirements earlier in this presentation. What you see on your screen now is considered phase 1. This will consist of your initial team application due by midnight on February 2nd. Your application does include a 60 to 90-second elevator pitch submission and short answer questions. The week of February 3rd is our application review by our review committee. We are going to bring in a group outside of the University of Pittsburgh to view your team folders and assist us with initial scoring to select our semifinalists. You will hear if you made it to that semifinal round by the end of the day on February 10th via email. We will let you know if for whatever reason we need to extend this particular date, but for now, this is when we aim to notify all teams of their status in the competition. So, you've made it into the competition. Congratulations, you're a semifinalist. This is phase 2. You've made it past the initial application submission phase and are now ready to start thinking about the virtual presentation round. We will host a virtual information session. Again, all of these dates are required. Make sure you have a member of your team available for that session. It will be held over Zoom on February 11th from 6 o'clock to 7:30. We'll go into details related to some of the points that I've discussed today and talk about your presentations and what you need to come prepared with for the semifinal round. That semifinal round will take place on February 21st over Zoom. Your team will only be responsible for about 15 to 30 minutes of the day. You'll have a 15-minute time slot and you will schedule that with our team. More information about how that is going to work is going to be emailed out to teams the week of February 11th. Teams will hear about whether or not they make it to the next phase, that is phase 3, on February 24th. Again, if we need more time, we will let you know, but this is the goal in order to give more time in between when we let you know about getting into the final round and when you actually present. Phase 3, congratulations, you made it to the final round of the competition. You are officially considered a finalist team, and you'll receive that acceptance email on February 21st if you are moving forward. Along with your acceptance, you will also be matched with a competition mentor. We are going to evaluate mentor backgrounds and team ideas to find a good match for you as you work on your idea for the next month. A little more on that at a later date. Just know that the mentor matching and the finalist information session will take place on February 25th as we host one of the last session for finalist teams. Again, this date is required. Put it on your calendars. You will receive important information on final round presentation requirements, learn a bit more about the judging criteria for that particular round, as well as connect with competition staff about any last minute questions that you have going into the next phase of the competition. Final presentations will be live and in person on April 4th. We are working on pitch locations currently. Portions will take place at the Big Idea Center, but we do realize our own limitations and will need to expand to other buildings in order to maximize the pitching experience for teams. As with the semifinal round, you do not need to keep this entire time frame available. You will be selecting a 30-minute pitch slot with our team at a later date. A specific email on scheduling your final round pitch, as well as your one-on-ones with our director, Rhonda Schultz, will be going out the week of March 10th. You will need to be on the lookout for that as well. Speaking of the one-on-one interviews, since I got so excited about the final presentation round that I blew right past it, all finalist teams will be required to meet with Rhonda Schultz prior to the final presentation round, specifically the week of March 24th. This is an opportunity for your team to gather some final details and evaluate your progress in the competition so far. We just want to get to know a little bit more about you and where you plan to go after the big idea competition. It's nothing to be nervous about, but it is a requirement for this competition. I know that was a lot of information. If you have any questions about competition dates or the time commitment, just let me know. Again, we want to be as transparent about these dates as possible now so that you can be prepared during the months of February, March, and April. I know that seems far away now, but trust me, that application deadline, February 2nd, will be here before you know it. Before we move on, I also need to tell you about how you can find out if you won. All teams are invited to join us at our end of the year celebration at the Big Idea Center on April 11th. We want to highlight all of the teams and individuals that have made significant strides in our center throughout the entire academic year. You will have the opportunity to meet with other students involved in our center, engage with industry professionals that support our competitions and programs, as well as find out who won each of our prize tiers for the 2025 Big Idea competition. We have a lot to celebrate from 2024 and 2025, and we invite you to this special event to celebrate with us. Save the date, April 11th, 5 o'clock, in person at the Big Idea Center. Now that you have the competition dates, let's talk logistics. Entrepreneurs in residence. At the Big Idea Center, we are joined by 3 rotating entrepreneurs in residence, industry professionals who provide their time to students and that are looking for one-on-one coaching, idea advice, connections, and more. Our EIRs, and I say this a lot because it's true, are one of our greatest resources at the Big Idea Center, and we simply could not do what we do without them. Each of the individuals that are listed on our website under Entrepreneurs in Residence have their own unique background and set of skills that you can read about by visiting that website. I mention this for one key reason. Our EIRs will be available for one-on-one appointments throughout this competition. This is in addition to our resource content for finalist teams and your competition mentor. They are free resources for you to get the most out of this experience. You can go over your pitch. You can get a second opinion on your revenue model, maybe. They can provide guidance on completing effective customer discovery or just be a sounding board for any idea pivots that you might be thinking about throughout the competition. You are strongly encouraged to meet with one or more of our EIRs throughout the competition. We believe that you need additional opinions in order to be successful. We've seen it time and time again. Teams that are the most successful beyond the walls of this competition have and continue to use our EIRs as resources for their team and idea. So take advantage of this time and their knowledge, especially while they're free to you as a student. The link on your screen is to our EIR page. Again, I will put that in the description of this video. Visit the link, read the EIR bios, select one that might be a good fit for your team, or 2 or 3, and make an appointment. What do you have to lose? Now, I promised that I would continue to repeat this point. Email is so important throughout this process. Our staff emails are on the screen. You can reach out, ask us questions, or request meetings, but the main reason I put these up is so that you know the names to look out for in your inbox. Ryan Skelton, Jess Melandro, Rankin Tran, and Rhonda Schultz. Important emails will be coming from all of us. You can't schedule a pitch if you deleted the email. I'm just saying, just make sure to look out for those and let us know again if you are not receiving those, and make sure to also check your spam or junk filters, just in case. You never know. So, this is also an important point. We often get questions about intellectual property throughout our competitions. I cannot say much in this type of virtual format because this advice is most effective when discussing the individual needs and concerns of each team. But what I can tell you is this. We are not asking you to give us all of the proprietary information associated with your idea. To be successful in this competition, you need to be able to tell us what you are pitching and why it is important, not how you accomplish this with a secret ingredient or tech component that nobody else has. That is your information to protect, so do not disclose your secret sauce. If you have any questions about IP and what that means for your team or idea, I highly encourage you to make an appointment with one of our entrepreneurs in residence or reach out to our competition staff. On to the fun stuff. How do you win? Each of our competition rounds will have a group of judges assigned to evaluate the effectiveness of your idea as it relates to important startup and innovation concepts. They will hear your pitch, ask you questions related to what they've heard, and score accordingly. The criteria on the screen in front of you is what we will be using throughout the competition. We like to make this clear at the very beginning. All teams will be asked to present their idea within this framework. You need to be able to talk about your idea and why it is important. We talk about problem and solution all the time in our programs. Describe the problem that exists, what your solution is, and why that solution is necessary to today's market. You need to be able to talk about who your customers are and how you know that those customers exist. Who is going to buy your product or service? The next point also is important. What solutions already exist, and why is your product or service better than what is readily available to consumers? How do you make money? And last but not least, who are you? Talk about your team and why you are the right people for the job. This competition is about ideas, yes, but it is also about you and your story. Why are you here? Tell us about it. We are so close to the end, but I did want to let you know about the presentation round requirements throughout this competition. Again, this is in an effort to be transparent of what we are expecting of you and your team before you even apply. Upon initial application, again, the deadline is February 2nd, I keep saying that, you will need to submit a 60 to 90-second elevator pitch for your idea. If you have trouble with the submission portal, you can email your link or file to the email that you see on your screen to Rank and Tram. Any applications without an elevator pitch will be considered incomplete, and those teams will not make it to the next phase of the competition. Again, 60 to 90 seconds, no slides. This is not a slideshow presentation, but you should be visible. I mentioned that we want to hear about you and your team. This is about you. So just be on screen and present your idea in 60 to 90 seconds. Next up, for those who make it to the semifinal round, you will need to prepare a 5-minute presentation with slides for your time slot on February 21st. You will present via Zoom, so make sure you are aware of how to use that software before presenting. It is interesting that I feel like I have to say that, but we are starting to get a couple of years past when we last had a virtual presentation round for a competition. So practice, ask us questions, and come prepared to pitch day, ready to present and participate in the Q&A with our judges. Lastly, we have our final round presentations on April 4th. These will be longer time slots, allowing time for a longer presentation. So that's 10 minutes instead of the 5 minutes for the semifinal round, and a more in-depth Q&A session. We want to be able to talk with you a little bit and learn about your idea and about your team in a more in-depth way. Again, 10 minutes with slides followed by a longer Q&A with our judges. For each of the presentation rounds, be sure to utilize the resources at your disposal to prepare. You should meet with entrepreneurs in residence. You should practice your pitch in front of the people who are not on your team. You should seek out additional resources if you are unsure. Again, we are telling you this now so that you know of the requirements early and have time to prepare. Whew, okay. I will take a deep breath. We can all take a moment to absorb everything we just heard. This video recording will be available for you to refer back to. Our competition staff, who I introduced earlier, will be available to you if you have any questions. All the important links and contact information that I've discussed will be in the description of this video. We try to be as open as possible about each of our competitions and what is required. Please send me an email directly if you have any questions about this presentation. That email is on your screen now. Or if you want to know about anything Big Idea Center related, honestly, reach out. It is better than feeling like you are going through a 2-month competition all on your own. And with that, we finish today's info session. These are all key resources to find out more about everything we've talked about today, along with contacts and appointment requests. All of that information that I talked about will be in the description of this video. So make sure to go down there and visit that space. But thank you so much for hanging in there with me throughout this presentation. We are so excited to host this competition for another year and to see what you all have been working on. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us or stop by the Big Idea Center during normal operating hours. That's Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. But until then, see you in February, and hail to Pitt.